Title: 4 Disturbing True Basement Horror Stories. The landlord opened the basement door. The smell hit him first. Then he saw the chain, bolted to the concrete floor, leading to a mattress in the corner. Someone had been living down there, in the dark, in the cold, for a long time. And the tenant upstairs claimed he had no idea. These are 4 real cases. For basements. For horrors that happened while people lived normal lives upstairs. No fiction. No exaggeration. Just what was found when someone finally looked. Story 1. The Cleveland House. May 6, 2013. Cleveland, Ohio. Amanda Berry kicked through a screen door and ran into the street. She'd been missing for 10 years. Dead, everyone assumed. But she wasn't dead. She'd been in a basement, 2 blocks from where she disappeared. The house at 2207 Seymour Avenue looked normal. Needs paint. Small yard. Working class neighborhood. Nothing unusual. Ariel Castro lived there. Worked as a school bus driver. Friendly enough. Kept to himself. No one suspected anything. But in his basement, 3 women had been held captive. Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, Michelle Knight. Some for over a decade. Chained. Locked in rooms. Windows boarded from outside. Soundproofed. When Amanda escaped, police searched the house. Found rooms divided by curtains. Chains. Locks. A diary Michelle had kept documenting years of captivity. Photos Castro had taken. Evidence of a 6-year-old child born in that basement to Amanda. Raised in captivity. Never seen a doctor. Never been outside. Neighbors were interviewed. Many said they'd seen strange things. Girls in the windows. But only for seconds before curtains closed. Someone claimed they heard pounding on walls. Screaming. But assumed it was domestic. Didn't want to get involved. One neighbor called police in 2004. Reported seeing a naked woman on a leash in the backyard. Police came. Knocked on the door. No one answered. They left. Never investigated further. That woman was likely Michelle Knight. That was 9 years before rescue. Castro had been stopped by police multiple times over the years. Traffic violations. Minor incidents. Officers had been to the house. For noise complaints. For questioning about his bus route. But never searched the basement. Never looked beyond the first floor. The 3 women were freed May 6, 2013. Castro was arrested. Charged with kidnapping, rape, aggravated murder for forced miscarriages. He pleaded guilty. Sentenced to life plus 1,000 years. 1 month into his sentence, he hanged himself in his cell. The house was demolished 4 months later. Neighbors watched. Some cried. The lot is empty now. A memorial stands nearby. 3 women survived a decade in a basement, 2 blocks from home, while life continued normally above and around them. And the question everyone asked, how? How did no one know? How did 3 women vanish from the same neighborhood and end up in the same basement and no one connected it? How did police visit that house and never look down? The answer is simple and terrifying. Because no one really looked. Because assumptions were made. Because it seemed impossible. Because the horror was too close to believe. Story 2. The Philadelphia Dungeon. November 2011. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Police executed a search warrant on a house in Tacony neighborhood. They were looking for stolen goods. What they found was far worse. The basement had been converted into a dungeon. Soundproofed walls. Reinforced door. Chains. Shackles. A wooden torture device. And evidence that multiple women had been held there. Assaulted. For years. The homeowner, Linda Weston, was arrested along with several accomplices. Investigation revealed a network. They'd been kidnapping mentally disabled adults, holding them captive in basements across Philadelphia. stealing their social security checks, their disability payments, using them for financial fraud. Police found 4 mentally disabled adults in that basement. Malnourished, injured, chained. One was found locked in a closet, another in a boiler room. Ages ranging from 29 to 41. Some had been captive for over a decade. Officers searched other properties linked to Weston, found evidence of more victims, more basements, more years of captivity. They traced back decades, found a 1981 case where Weston had been convicted of starving a man to death in a basement. She'd served 8 years, then been released, and started again. Neighbors were interviewed. Some remembered seeing people who looked confused, disabled, being led into the house. But they assumed it was a care facility, group home, something legitimate. The basement windows were covered. No one could see in. One neighbor said she heard banging sometimes, from underground. But the neighborhood was old. Pipes banged. Heating systems made noise. She didn't think anything of it. Weston was convicted in 2013, sentenced to life in prison. Her accomplices received various sentences. The victims were freed, placed in actual care facilities. Most had families who'd been searching for them for years, had filed missing person reports, had never stopped looking. The basements were documented as crime scenes, then sealed. The houses still stand. People live in them now. Different owners, different lives. But the basements remain, renovated, but the same spaces where people were held for years, while the city moved above them. Story 3. The Austrian Cellar. August 28, 2008. Amstetten, Austria. Elizabeth Fritzl emerged from a basement after 24 years. She'd been 18 when she disappeared. Now she was 42. And she brought 3 of her children with her. Children who'd never seen daylight. Born and raised underground. Her father, Joseph Fritzl, had imprisoned her in a cellar beneath their family home. A hidden cellar, behind multiple locked doors. Soundproofed, ventilated, built specifically to hold her. She'd been there since 1984. Elizabeth had 7 children during captivity, all fathered by Joseph. 3 were brought upstairs as babies. Joseph claimed they'd been abandoned by Elizabeth, who he said ran away to join a cult. He and his wife raised them normally. The other 4 remained in the cellar, never left, never saw the sun. Ages 5 to 19 when freed. Joseph's wife lived in the house the entire time. Claimed she had no idea. Police investigated. Found it possible she genuinely didn't know. The cellar was that well hidden. That soundproofed. Joseph controlled access completely. The cellar was discovered when one of the underground children, Kirsten, became severely ill. Joseph allowed Elizabeth to bring her to hospital. Elizabeth told doctors the truth. They called police. The cellar was raided that day. Elizabeth and her children were hospitalized. Severe vitamin D deficiency. Underdeveloped. The younger ones had never walked on grass, never felt rain, never seen a tree except in pictures. They had to be taught basic things. How the outside world worked. That the sky was real. That there were other people. Joseph was arrested. Convicted of enslavement, rape, incest, negligent homicide for one child who died in infancy and was cremated. Sentenced to life imprisonment. He's still alive. Still in prison. Now in his late 80s. The house was sold. The cellar was filled with concrete. Destroyed. Can't be accessed anymore. Elizabeth and her children were given new identities. Relocated. Live somewhere in Austria under protected names. Starting over. After 24 years underground. The case changed Austrian law. Prompted investigations into other properties. Other basements. fear that if it could happen once, it could happen again. Be happening now. Story 4. The Detroit Basement. July 2013. Detroit, Michigan. Police responded to a domestic disturbance call. A woman had escaped from a house on East 7 Mile Road. She was naked, chained, injured. She flagged down a passing car. The driver called 911 immediately. Officers arrived at the house. The homeowner initially refused entry. They obtained a warrant, searched the property, found a basement that had been converted into a cell. Concrete floor, metal door, padlock. Inside, evidence of long-term captivity. The woman told police she'd been held for weeks, chained at night, forced to stay in the basement. The homeowner, her boyfriend, had become increasingly controlling, violent. She'd tried to leave multiple times. He'd threatened her family, taken her phone, her money, made her dependent. She'd finally escaped when he forgot to lock the padlock completely. Just one small mistake. She pushed the door open. Didn't stop. Didn't grab clothes. Didn't try to find shoes. Just ran. Police arrested the man. Charged with kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, assault. Neighbors said they'd seen the woman. Assumed she lived there willingly. One neighbor mentioned hearing arguments. Loud ones. But didn't call police. Thought it was just relationship problems. The man pleaded guilty. Sentenced to 15 years. The house was foreclosed eventually. Sold at auction. The basement was cleaned, repainted, made normal again. But the woman who escaped never went back. Moved to a different city. Started over. This case wasn't national news. Didn't make headlines. Just another domestic violence situation that escalated to kidnapping. Just another basement used as a prison. Just another woman who almost didn't escape. Detroit police estimate dozens of similar cases occur every year. Most don't end in escape. Most end in death. Or the victim gives up trying. Accepts captivity. Stops fighting. Because basements are soundproof. Because neighbors don't want to get involved. Because by the time someone notices, it's often too late. These are 4 true basement horror stories. 4 real cases. For women who survived. Thousands more didn't. Thousands more might be in basements right now. Waiting. Hoping someone notices. Someone investigates. Someone finally looks down instead of away. Basements are everywhere. Under houses. Under businesses. Under apartments. Most are normal. Storage. Laundry. Utilities. But some aren't. Some hold secrets. Some hold people. And the worst part? The neighbors often know. Or suspect. Or hear something. But convince themselves it's nothing. That it can't be what it sounds like. That someone else will check. That it's not their business. Until someone escapes. Or dies. Or is found years later. Then everyone asks how no one knew. How no one did anything. But they did know. Or could have. They just didn't look. So you just watched 4 true basement horror stories. Real cases. Real victims. Real evil hiding beneath ordinary houses. Feeling that chill? That's because this isn't fiction. This happened. This is happening. If this video made you check what's under your feet right now, obliterate that like button. Destroy it like you're breaking down a basement door. Want more true horror that'll make you see your neighborhood differently? Smash that subscribe button and annihilate that notification bell. Because we're going deep into real cases that prove monsters don't hide under beds. They hide in plain sight. Drop a comment. Have you ever heard something weird from a neighbor's basement? Ever seen something suspicious and didn't report it? Tell us. Your story could save someone. Share this with everyone you know. Because awareness saves lives. Because the Cleveland neighbors heard screaming and did nothing. Because the Austrian wife lived above a torture dungeon for 24 years. Because people are being held right now while neighbors assume it's not their business. If you hear something, see something, suspect something, report it. Don't assume. Don't ignore. Don't wait until it's too late. More true horror coming your way. Stay vigilant. Stay aware. And remember, basements aren't just for storage.